right, all right, all right. All right, friends, we are back with the Angular Q&A coding video game, everything you can think of, live stream. We don't play video games, Jeremy.
What side of me are you on? Look at his setup. Look what he did. He did that for you.
This is all for you friends at home listening. I did not sleep for 3 months just working on this setup just so it can look good for you. Hope you
I'm just in my living room. This man is in a white liminal space just for you.
That's right, just for you, just so you know that we care about you. But I am joined. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Thompson, aka Mark Texan, and I'm joined by the outstanding, the incomparable, the one that I trust, Mr. Tech Lead, just of everything. I think he's going to get promoted to Tech Lead of Google at some point, just because he's so smart.
Your trust is misplaced.
Mr. Jeremy Elbourn. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
It's been a busy time leading up to V19. It's been a bit hectic, this one.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny, Jeremy? I always think about our conversations where we're always like, the next release, we just don't want to set the expectations that thing, we're going to do so much every time.
Every time we're like, we're gonna take it easy this release. We're gonna not do as much as last one. That was pretty big. Right. And then Minko comes back at the end, is like, the blog post for this one is like 50% longer than the last one.
It's true. The blog post is like outlandish for this one. It's and the features, and it's not even like we're trying to like say, every time expect all these features, because we do hear you friends at home. We hear you say to us like, there are so many features, it's hard to keep up. But I want to remind you, here's something that I think we do, and I think we actually do this pretty well. We set it up in such a way that you can update and opt into features as you need it, as you're ready. So don't ever feel like when you upgrade to like V18 or V19 that you got to change everything you're doing. Take advantage of the stuff you can. Some things you can't, just take advantage.
Yeah. So we do have our special guest today. We should probably not keep them waiting that much longer.
Okay, I will not. But first, we got to do our roll call real quick, and then we will get started. This is a part of the story. We got to do it. All right, what's going on? Hello. Oreo, what's up? Enia in the building. All right, yo, Brandon, what's going on? Good to see you. Tayamba in the building. Okay, saw some HMR work. Hey, listen, there's stuff coming. Jerome, what's going on? Good to see you. Okay, we got... Oh, I thought they said God of War for a second. I was like, you like God of War? I don't know what this is. Let's see. Is the goal of Angular... You know what? Let's come back to this. I'm going to start this question. We will come back to that question. But I definitely want to say... Wait.
I'm looking this up now.
Okay, that's pretty good. Michael, what's up? Good to see you. Okay. Andre, what's going on? Does this setup support dark mode? I'm working on that because this is real. You can't tell I'm actually touching something real. This is just like a white piece of paper. But I'm going to work on some colors because I do want to get a dark mode set up. Alcatraz 01, what's going on? He lives in a bunker. Oh, man. This is a good question, Robert. Don't give up on us. We're going to answer this question. We'll get back to you. Let's see. Okay, what's going on? Danny Paredes, what up, Danny? Good to see you. All right, Walid, what's up? Jeannie, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. All you friends who came by earlier this week, you saw something special, and this is a really good segue, Evgeny, because it was good to see you the other day. The other day, we announced something really, really special. Wait, before we go to there, Jeremy, you want to show this? Go ahead. I want you to show this.
This is not serious. I don't know how to add it. I'm not logged in. You have to add it to the program.
Okay, I'll add it. That's fine.
For our commenter who pointed out where Mark is, yes, he's in the same place as Squidward here, apparently. I'm a little too old to have watched SpongeBob when I was a kid, so I don't get the reference. But yeah, that looks about right.
That's about right. I want to get those squares, and then that'll really trip some people out. All right, but what I was going to say was early this week, if you saw us online, we posted about a brand new feature called Incremental Hydration. A lot of you were in the building when we announced it, and now you're here on the live stream because we're going to be having a very special guest. Some of you may know her. is the queen of puns. You may know her as a superhero whose identity she goes by the Punder Woman. But did you know that she's also a brilliant software engineer working at Google and the mastermind behind our latest feature? Please join me in the chat. In the chat, I need something from you. I need you to put a lot of stars in the chat as we welcome the fantastic, the wonderful Jessica Janik.
Sorry, what? I was just having my lunch. Am I live on stream?
You are.
Well, sorry.
On your calendar.
I'll just put that away.
Jessica.
You even got the Foley.
NG Jessica, there you go. Defer. Look, people are excited that you're here. Michael is there with you with the puns. Incremental hydration. Is that when I have an annoyingly small amount of daily water? A small daily water bottle. Oh, that's good. I got to work on my monitor here because it's hard for me to see the comments on the side. So setup is not perfect yet. We're still working on it.
Michael, you can actually have a large water bottle, but you're only allowed to take very small sips throughout the whole day.
Incremental. NG, hey, what's going on? Look at all of our friends. Everybody's here. Hello. All right, Jessica, tell us about what happened this week. Tell us more about this feature, incremental hydration.
Man, what happened this week? Well, I got back from Web Unleashed in Toronto, and then it's been a pretty typical work week. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, well, wait, did you do a special event this week?
We did. Highlighted some really interesting work.
Yeah, it's that video that I helped you storyboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about now. We've been kind of teasing like incremental hydration, or we used to call it partial hydration, for quite a while. We talked about it at Google I/O, teased it a little bit there. There's been a few mentions of it throughout the past year, really. So it's exciting to see a full special event specifically featuring this topic, because it's what I've been focused on for the almost entirety of the last, 6 to 8 months or so. So I don't know. What are you looking for, Mark? Are you wanting me to talk about the feature itself?
Yeah. So for anyone who didn't tune in, what is incremental hydration?
Well, so as Mark pointed out in the video, we released full application hydration back in V16, and that's awesome. But it requires that you hydrate your whole application all at once. And we thought it would be really cool, especially since we've added defer blocks to, we thought it'd be great if we could further optimize the performance by allowing you to leave code dehydrated. So leaving sections of your page that maybe you're already deferring dehydrated, not fetching that JavaScript at all, but yet still rendering what you would like to see rendered post the defer actually fetching. So actually having your full HTML content for it. And that's the crux of what incremental hydration's like base is. We then allow you to use the same kind of triggers that we have for defer blocks or deferrable views, depending on your preferred marketing term, to trigger that fetching and triggering the hydration of those blocks of dehydrated content. So it's yet another optimization you can make to your app to shrink the initial bundle size and to achieve a faster initial load time, amongst other things.
Okay, fantastic. We got a lot of comments. A lot of people are talking about this thing. First, I want to just come by to say hello. What's up, Gabriel de los Rios? Good to see you. Okay, is this true? Is this true for you that whenever you get a new release, it breaks your perfectly working app? Because if that is true, like, do something for us. Like, open up a GitHub issue and let us know the types of things that are breaking, because we really work pretty hard to not break you all when we have releases. We really try to do that. So if this is true, let us know. That would really help us to continue to make the update process better. Okay, so unless it's not true, then if it's not true, then don't open up an issue. Let's see. Oh, here you go. What are the most effective performance optimization strategies in large Angular applications, especially in components with large and complex templates?
No.
There's a lot of things potentially to say here. So if you can analyze that large and complex template and break it down into smaller components, that's probably a good thing to do, because the larger the template, the larger the logic, the bigger that component is going to be when you have to fetch it, and it's going to be a bigger chunk. So you're going to have to deal with that with hydration, with partial hydration. It's going to impact the load times. If you're not already lazy loading your routes, you should be doing that. You can use defer as it already is without any sort of partial hydration functionality, but you can utilize defer for as much, like if you have that large and complex template, look through it and see if there's anything you can defer within that template, because that'll actually significantly help speed up the load of that actual component too. So deferring as much as you can. Using the ng optimized image directive is going to help with any sort of image, like large image resources that you have. Right. Hydration, just as is. If you're not doing server-side rendering, you could consider doing server-side rendering and adding in hydration. That's going to give you at least a faster initial load. Anybody else?
Jeremy, you got any other things that you would add to that list?
I mean, that's all the big ones, right? I'll maybe re-emphasize. It's like, what's making your application slow? It's JavaScript. And so the more you can defer and offset any JavaScript that's doing work or, download heavy, deferring that as much as you can is going to be one of the things that gives you the most impact. And with the new defer syntax we have, for the least amount of work.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep going with that, because everything that I was going to say is exactly what you all said. So let's ask another question. Does incremental hydration unblock the official Astro plugin?
I wish we could say yes, but the answer is, for now, no. We have talked about official Astro support, but we would have to spend some more time trying to see what that would look like in order to build out that official Astro plugin.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot of questions. So let's talk about some of these things. And also, after we get through some questions, I'm going to show the demo, just in case you missed it during our event earlier this week, our feature showcase. I'll actually show it here today, and we can walk through, and Jessica can talk a little bit more about how it's set up too. Okay, so is the goal of Angular team to make Angular similar to Wiz, or the other way around? Jeremy, can you help us with this question?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is neither and both at the same time, right? So we've talked about this a number of times in various events, and I think even on the stream. But the idea is, Google has these two web frameworks today. There's Angular and there's Wiz. Wiz is closed source, so it's only used inside of Google. And Wiz is historically has been optimized for really high performance, whereas Angular had more of a focus on having a really great developer experience. And what we saw in Google is, over the years, Angular got more and more focused on performance over time, and Wiz got more focused on developer experience over time. And we're really solving a lot of the same problems. And so we're in a state now where we're just trying to share more code between these things. And we've already made some progress there, right? We're sharing our signals implementation between both. We're sharing kind of our event dispatch library between both that used to be a part of Wiz and is now open sourced in the Angular repo. And kind of up next, we're looking at, hey, how can we share dependency injection between these things?
Right.
And for the people who are in kind of the open source community, all that's going to look like to you is like some refactoring inside of Angular. It's not really going to affect you one way or the other. And you may see Angular get more features or, things like that. So as far as like the world outside of Google is concerned, it's just like Angular is going to continue getting new stuff. And inside of Google, right, there will be fewer differences between Angular and Wiz over time. But yeah, that's really it. Like you shouldn't worry about anything like Angular suddenly becoming a different framework or going away. There's nothing like that is happening. It's just kind of two of these frameworks trying to move in the same direction over time and share more and more code.
That's right. And as a reminder to our friends at home, I know that we talked about this major initiative, but keep track of the scale of the time that this will take. This is not a 1 quarter problem or 1 year. This is a long-term effort. Okay, I got to remind you, friends, it's a long-term effort. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind, and then hopefully to you, like Jeremy said, it only looks like new features and better capabilities. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into any task that you have to do besides continue to update Angular. Okay, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe in 10 years, you'll see Angular on the Google search results page.
All right. Who knows? Okay, so let's see this. What does it say? I don't see on the docs how to make Angular application work offline. It just shows that you are offline. Where's the docs about this? PWAs. That's what you want to look up. It's progressive web apps.
Yeah, and there shouldn't be anything that's really super Angular specific about this, right? Like the general practices around building offline web applications with PWAs would apply to Angular apps just as they would for any other kind of web application.
That's right. That's right. So you should be able to just do that. Let us know if that doesn't work for you. But PWAs, because we even have a schematic to enable a PWA in your application. We have that. So you should be able to just do it. I gave a talk. Oh my gosh. I forgot about this. I gave an entire talk about this. And it's a musical. That's right. It is a musical that I made. And it's only like 12 or 15 minutes. It features 5 original songs, all about PWAs and Angular. I think I should find that and put that in the chat. I'll do that soon.
Was that an NGConf talk?
It was for NGConf. Yeah, that was my.
I remember.
I put the amount of work I put into preparing for that was outlandish. I probably worked 80 hours that week just preparing all those songs, filming, editing, and that's when Jessica was teaching me how to like edit. So I didn't even know what I was doing yet. Ugh. A lot of work, but it was worth it because it exists.
That reminds me of the amount of effort I put into the Angular Day video that you and I both very cheesily acted in, and then like nobody saw.
Oh yeah, the Back to the Future with the for Angular Day, and I was your camera operator that day and an actor.
Yes,
you put in a lot of work for that. Yeah. All right. Hola Madrid says, hello. After building application with SSR, how do I deploy it to IIS? Which I know it's like the Microsoft like web server, right? So I don't want us to debug this for that person, but I want to confirm, is this possible?
Probably.
I'm sure it's possible.
There's nothing about Angular's SSR that is like strictly coupled to one particular web server. So you should be able to like call it in any web server so long as you are running Node.js in that.
I was going to say it's the Node.js part. So if your IIS server has been set and enabled to run Node.js, then you get everything you need to be able to do it from the compatibility point of view. Because then, like Jeremy said, everything Angular specific, it doesn't change. So try that out. And thank you for your question. Thank you. All right, let's see. We got that one cooking. All right. Is everyone familiarized with signals? I know this wasn't for us, but this is a comment for like the community. If you are not checking out signals, you should. You really should. Signals are a huge part of what we like to think about, how Angular is improving the developer experience, improving the learning journey, your mental models, everything. So take the time to learn more about signals.
What are they? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm kidding.
It's like when you're driving and then you stop at a corner and then there's these lights called a signal, or maybe look at a tower in the field, it's sending information.
I live in the Boston area, so talking about driving is a little triggering. So
That's also true because you all have roundabouts and no stoplights. Okay. Uh, I'm from Sri Lanka. These days, I'm using Angular 18 for one of my projects in my workplace. Congratulations. That is fantastic. We love to hear people using the latest version of Angular. Anything you like about it specifically? Any features that are helping you or not helping you? We'd love to hear about it. All right. Evgenie's right about this. We presented one of the most awesome features of Angular version 19, which is incremental hydration. Let's actually show it. Can we show it real quick, Jeremy? Is that okay?
Do it.
Yeah, let's show it. All right. I'm going to add it. All right. So here's an application. So I'm going to give you all a walkthrough to what this actually looks like. Hold on. Let me get my mouse into the right location.
I'll also point out that this is just a fictional store. You can't actually buy Angular swag.
Okay. So
unfortunately,
funny story. Jessica, when she saw the demo video, like before we premiered it, she was like, people are going to ask us about swag. And somebody asked, when was this store dropping? Somebody really asked. Lots of people did. Cannot buy this. This is fictional, friends. Thanks for that call out, Jeremy. So
yeah, I want to know. Let me know in the chat. Do you want to buy Angular swag?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Oh, man. All right. Oh, that'd be a fun project. To figure out how to get some Angular swag in like a store or something. They got YouTube swag.
Jeremy, I have suggested this for like 3 years now. So I'm all in favor.
Yeah. All right. So let me tell you, friends, what's happening. So this application, we styled it as gray, right? Hydrated applications from the server or partially hydrated applications, they don't render in gray. We styled it in gray for effect. That way you could see it and it could really stand out as to what's happening. Okay. But in your applications at home, when you're doing this, you should style it as you normally would style your application, because then your users won't suspect that anything is different, because this should be a transparent change to your users. They shouldn't notice that something's happening.
So we styled it for effect. What about after render effect?
I'm going to click in this box. I'm going to click on this header. All right. And so then we get some color here. And so that's when it got transferred over. And then we also have, if I hover over this list, you see how they're like color changing. All right. So for this example, we have this this is super tiny. Okay. Ignore these numbers for a second because I'm running this locally, so it's not like set up properly. This is custom. We made this for this example. No, this code is not public to use this thing. It's just not meant for that. Okay. But if I turn it off, you can see, if I turn it off and do a hard refresh, with hydration being turned off, you see everything's already working. So for your users, it should render like this first. But for performance, the value you get, if you turn on incremental hydration like this, then we can get some cool stuff going, right? Which is pretty great. So this is incremental hydration. So the JavaScript for the components here was not loaded until I hovered over it and interacted with it. And these components are using our new hydrate trigger into the defer block. So inside the defer block, you can say hydrate never, for example, if you want something to never hydrate. Or you can say hydrate on hover, hydrate on viewport, using the same triggers you use with the other parts of the application, which is pretty rad. Jessica, anything you want to add about this or say to this?
The one thing that you talked about, the same triggers. There is one additional one that hydrate triggers have that is not currently available for regular old defer, and that's never. So
regular
old defer, yes. So with hydrate, you can actually say hydrate never. So if you want some content to essentially act as static, where it will never hydrate, you can use that as well. The key thing to note, though, is that applies to its entire subtree. So if you have a bunch of subcomponents and you're going to put like defer, hydrate on, whatever, with those, they'll never, that code will never be seen if you have the parent defer block have hydrate never on it. with one caveat, and that is the thing about hydration is that it is an initial load optimization.
Mm-hmm.
So these hydrate triggers apply specifically to only hydration cases, which is initial load. So if you navigate to a subsequent page, at that point, you're looking at client-side rendering. So if you were to navigate, let's say we started viewing this store on the t-shirt page and then navigated back to the home page, and that home page would be your second load, like your client-side render rather than your initial load. That hydrate never doesn't apply anymore, and it is going to fetch that JavaScript. So because it has to know what to render. So just keep that in mind. It is not the same as like a server component where it never client-side renders. It still can client-side render in those cases.
Let me show that example, Jessica. So I just navigated to a product page. We can look at our component. It is showing no things loaded. Remember, the grayscale represents, friends, that this has not been hydrated. So then if I interact, then we see that we got whatever was used for that component. One component's been hydrated, 0.6 kilobytes of data transferred. So let me go back out. And then if I want to interact with this add to cart button, two really cool things happen with that. One, it was not hydrated, but when I clicked on the add to cart, it was able to capture that event and replay it for us. It's pretty great. Pretty great. Okay.
So now if you click Angular Store.
Now if I click Angular Store, that's right.
You'll notice this was already all hydrated because at this point, it's not a matter of hydration. It is literally just a regular old Angular route navigation.
And let me be super clear. This demo, the reason we're not releasing this demo, because this is a work in progress. Like, we're still working on finalizing and polishing. So if we released it, it will not be necessarily representative of the final product. Okay. Same reason why game demos, you don't always get to download game demos when they're still in progress. Okay, friends. So keep that in mind. Because I saw a bunch of people in chat wanting to know, can they get this code? Not yet. But we are hopefully, depending on timing, we may be able to publish it at least. So you can try it on your own machines and then, try the published version of the app. But I don't know when we'll do that store. We had no idea you all would want this hydration control panel. No idea. That's something that we'll talk about, how we can extract it, since people care about this so much. But we don't want to maintain this though, right? Like, then that's because another component we got to maintain, and then I don't know. So that's a little risky. If we ever release it, it'll have different expectations than like our official components. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can pass it over to our dev tools. Because that seems like a dev tools kind of helpful thing.
Yeah. So we'll go from there. Okay, let's see. Let's read some comments. Hey, everyone. Thank you for your hard work. You know what? I'm so glad you like it. Thank you.
Marty McFly. Man, it's very themed.
Very themed.
I was talking about that video.
Yeah. Why do we have the double import for JS and then secondly in the Angular? Why we had to do it twice, Jeremy?
Because of selectors. Because the way that Angular has to go about determining which components are used in your template, it needs to know which components to look for those CSS selectors, because obviously it can't look for every CSS selector in the world, because your compilation would then need to know about all of the components that would exist, and your build speeds would be really slow.
That's right.
And so you have to explicitly tell each component, these are the other components and directives for which to check for the CSS selector. We do know that this is a big friction point in the Angular kind of authoring experience. And we're looking into ways where we can let you directly reference the component without having to have a CSS selector. We're calling this selectorless.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're going to be looking into going into the next year.
Right. And Minko actually talked about this publicly recently. He said that we're working on selectorless. Alex Rickabout Framework TL also talked about it. So this is a thing that's we're working on. But you remember the rules, friends at home. We will release it when it is ready. Cannot promise you a date for that, but we know you want it. We hear you. And thanks for that feedback. Seriously, that's great. That helps us. You have no idea. All right, let's see what else the people are saying. There's a lot of comments. As soon as I started that demo, the comments, man, it's a lot. Okay, here's a good question. I'm still using Angular 9, but using many dedicated NPM libraries. How can I update to newer versions?
I mean, if a lot of the time, older versions of libraries will continue working in future versions. I think version 13 is a hard kind of boundary, though. I think that was when we made some changes kind of under the hood to the way that we compile libraries. And so if an application hasn't been updated past version 13, then I don't know that there is a lot you can do other than try to encourage the maintainer to update to a newer version.
Yeah. Okay, wait, somebody's asking for help, and I don't know what they need. Okay, I want to help you because you put, please help. I thought something was wrong. I want to read your comment, then I'm going to help you. Hey, Angular, how to get started with Angular without having any experience in web dev? I only have experience in Flutter, but you have experience in programming. This is great for you. Here's what you can do. Head over to angular.dev/tutorials. I will put a link in the chat for you. You could start there. We have a fantastic 20 or 24 part tutorial that will get you covered with all of the basics that you need to get started. Okay, friend? We got you. If you want to do more, guess what? There's a video course on this very same channel. It's pinned in the channel. You go to our video course as well. You use those 2 steps to get started. Then once you're done with those 2 things, there is a wealth of content out there by our amazing Angular Google developer experts and other Angular experts in the community. So you'll have so many options to grow your Angular career. But first, head over to angular.dev/tutorials to get started.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
I've got a quick sponsor announcement. I just wanted to say, this stream is sponsored by Angular Cereal. It's all the components you'll need in a healthy breakfast. So definitely check that out at your local non-existent supermarket.
You're really getting a lot of mileage out of that prop.
A lot. All right, Jeremy, did you hear any rushing water right now?
Because we want to talk about some hydration.
No, that wasn't a pun. I was just standing in a place where you can hear water sometimes. That's all. You can sometimes hear water where I'm standing. All right, let's keep going. This is great. So thanks for a lot of these comments. This is really helpful for us. Oh, okay, yeah. So, Michael, I answered this question. We'll see about it, but we don't know. We don't know. No answer right now. Sorry, that's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth. Is V19 is hydration the only feature? Not by any shot. Actually, there's so much. There's so much that even today, Jeremy gave me some feedback on one of our announcements. This should be in a separate video because there's so much to talk about. Please be tuned in November for our upcoming developer events. The date will be announced very, very soon. And it's going to be great. So don't worry.
The blog post for version 19, I won't tell you what's in it, but I will tell you it is 18 pages long.
18. And I'm glad I didn't have to write that one. Shout out. Let's see. I have some Laura. Okay, this is an interesting point. I built a large application in version 18, but I'm feeling like it has some lower performances. So here's what you do. Rewind this stream, and then make sure that you are using all the things that Jessica and Jeremy talked about, whether it be lazy loading of routes. Make sure you're doing things like hydration. So all the optimizations that we give you that are kind of built in, use all of those things. Use defer, use hydration. Once you get to 19, use partial hydration or incremental hydration where it makes sense. Also, make sure you're using the right change detection strategy. Are you using default? Are you using on push? There are lots and lots of things that you can do. We actually have a video on this YouTube channel hosted by our very own Miko Getchif that also covers some common optimization tips. And if it's still not working that great, post online someplace so people can give you some help. I don't know. Let's see. So many questions, so many comments. Jeremy, you're not signed in, so I got to moderate the chat here. Okay.
You do.
Oh, It's all right. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Jessica, I'm gonna ask you this question. With the growing adoption of micro front-end architecture, does Angular have any roadmap for better support or tooling for building and managing micro front ends?
I'm having some weird video delay. I'm not sure what's going on there, but actually, I'm not the right person to talk to about this. There has been some asks around being able to support micro front ends using defer, but that's only been like one. We've only gotten that question like maybe once or twice. Other than that, like Jeremy, you probably have more to say about this than I do.
Yeah, it is certainly a topic that comes up pretty frequently. The answer is not in the next year, maybe someday, but this isn't something we would be working on in 2025.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So good question. Good link now. Wait, what link are we missing, Evgeny? Tell me. You said link now. What link are we missing? So I could put it in there. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Keep going. Thanks for answering. Wait for the link. All right. I'm not sure what link people are looking for. Okay, here's a good question. When are Jessica Curry and Mark Durant coming to Spain? Invite us. Invite us, and then we'll talk to our teams to find out, what our availability is, and then we will come. And it would actually be quite fantastic to invite the three of us to Spain, because the three of us together is a lot of magic. Like whenever we hang out, it's nothing but like fun and laughs and good times. So I don't know. Invite us. You want to go to Spain, Jeremy?
Pero no hablo español.
Sí, but hablas español. I see. I heard you right there. See, you good. You got it. You got it covered. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty smooth though. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I think somebody said this. So again, on these streams, we really can't debug your application. We can only give you general guidance where appropriate. So when you have questions like, I have built applications in Angular 18 and feeling has lower performance, my application has more modules and using little children to call models, and I'm using a lot of libraries. Sure. I'm not sure what we can say there.
I would say feeling lower performance is not a very actionable metric. So I think
Sure.
A first step there would be to measure. So I would maybe interpret this as a question of like, hey, how do I figure out why my app might feel slow?
Yeah, that's good. Very good. Very good.
Profiling, right? Like getting the Chrome dev tools, profile that, right? How much JavaScript are you downloading? How long is it taking? How long is it taking to parse and execute? Figuring out where those milliseconds are going, and then figure out how do I make that take fewer milliseconds. And hopefully you've got some tools in your toolbox to do that, right? We talked about this earlier. There's the new defer syntax. There's the ng optimized image directive and more, right? We even have a performance guide on angular.dev. Go check that out and follow that. I'm assuming Jessica is leaving and coming back to try to fix her video lag.
Or she might just have been tired of hanging out with us. Okay, there she goes. There she goes.
Okay, so that was the problem. I don't know. For some reason, the video would never catch up. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and leave the studio and come back in.
Yeah, I usually, another thing I started doing for our streams, I'm thirsty. Hold on. Oh, nothing in here. It's just a prop. I don't know why I like that corny joke, but I did that during another event.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't want to spill my tea. Oh, no tea. And it's also my Angular pre-Angular Dev mug and my Angular.dev mug.
And the only prop I have readily available here is the trophy I just won for best pun at the Google Arts pun competition.
Tell the people the pun, please.
Oh my goodness.
Tell them.
So I did not win this competition, but I did win the prize, the consolation prize of best pun. And the theme of the final category was orchestra things. And so the pun I made was, everyone's always talking about what great musicians forest gnomes are, but no one's ever talking about metronomes.
Okay, that is a sign of approval because of the pain that pun has caused me. That lets me know that it's a very good pun. Very, very good.
I've told you this before, but I'm so proud of you.
Didn't win though.
Hey, you won a trophy. That's more than I've won in Punland. So I've just won lots of groans and people's affection. So
metronomes versus four stones. I mean, you got a lot of good stuff there. Okay, let's get back to the questions. And then let's see, how are we doing today? Oh, a lot of people are hanging out with us. Hey, friends who are hanging out, if you just joining the stream, we're talking about hydration. We're talking about performance. We're answering your questions and admiring my new setup for the stream. That is also part of it. Just letting you know that I'm very proud of myself to have this look on camera and my liminal space, but it's real. He tells people this is real.
Mark actually lives in that space. When he signs off of these streams, he just meanders around in that unending white space. If Mark were to turn around and start walking, he would walk forever. He would just slowly shrink down into nothingness.
So to answer this question, what's the deal with the test runner, right? Karma's been deprecated for a while. We've mentioned that we're going to move away from Karma. Just is still experimental. What's going on with all that? Yes, we're planning on working on this in 2025 and hopefully figuring out what the stable state is. It's been one of these projects where we make some progress on it and then something else comes up that's a higher priority. And so it gets put on the back burner for a little while and then we come back to it, make a little bit more progress, and then something else comes up. And so we haven't been able to get it all the way across the finish line. The reason it hasn't really been that high of a priority, or it's been able to be preempted by other priorities, is that Karma actually just still works just fine. Even though it's not getting any active development, it still does everything that we need it to, still runs your tests. And there hasn't been that burning of a fire on trying to get off of it. But that said, we do know it's not great for the long term to be on things that are not being actively developed anymore. And so we are planning in 2025 to put a little bit more time into getting it into that better state.
Sorry, I needed a moment to contain myself after I just realized I just faded away on stream. I actually committed to that joke. And I'm just like, how silly is this going to look when people watch this stream? Oh man. Oh man. I be doing stuff sometimes and I don't think it all the way through. Hey, yo, Chaos Monster. What did you miss? What did I miss?
You gave away free cars to everyone. You missed it.
You did miss the Chaos Monster. Let's see. So many questions, so many comments. What's up, Brandon? What's going on? Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the party. So glad to have you. Ooh, this is a good question. I love this one. This is a very, very, very good question. Very smart question. How are effects going to look like in components with incremental hydration?
Exactly the way they look everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. So they're not impacted?
Nope.
Yeah.
Just like my wisdom teeth.
Jessica, this is a serious show.
Then why'd you invite me on?
Right. Why did I just walk into the background? I mean, there are lots of questions that need answers. But the bigger part about this, Roman, keep in mind that the code for your JavaScript, for your component, the JavaScript has not been loaded when it was incrementally hydrated. So once it gets loaded, then it will execute as normal. So if you have your effect running, whatever's there will happen. Okay. But good questions. A good question. I think we're introducing some things that could lead to some mental misdirection for people just because it's a new pattern, right? So we got to make sure that we're super clear on how people can understand how it works. Good job.
Just keep in mind though, if you have a block that is set to incrementally hydrate, hasn't hydrated yet, and you have some data being displayed in that block of code, if it will get out of sync in the static content before hydration. So if you make changes to it, it's not going to reflect in the non-hydrated code, but once the hydration does occur, it will update to the new value.
So I can make sure that I understand what you just said. So let's say that I got like a price in my component, right? Let's say the price is $2 and it was hydrated on the server. And then, I'm sorry, it was pre-rendered on the server, not hydrated, pre-rendered on the server, delivered to the client. It says $2 in my component, but then when I hit between display and incremental hydration, the data changed somehow, and it's now $4. Once I get incrementally hydrated, that 2 will become a 4, and I'll be back in sync with my data.
Yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't make the cart the thing that's dehydrated, but as an example, yes. If for some reason, let's say you've got a page, and then there's some chunks that are like some content on that page that's dehydrated, and in the top you click a form where you type in something that is being used in a signal somewhere in a computed. If that signal is being used inside the dehydrated content as well, that won't update until hydration occurs.
Okay. Let's see here. Uh-oh, what have I done?
I logged in so I could pin comments now.
There you go.
So this one I wanted to mention something about. Someone's asking for any update on forms news. I would say in the scenario that we were cooking up some updates to forms, we are in the phase right now of the oven is preheating. So it's a complicated way of saying we are kind of just in the very early phases of thinking about doing some forms work in the next year.
Yeah. So just let us cook.
Ooh-wee. All right, Jeremy, I love that you want to pin comments. I want you to do that because, hey, it's the guy from the tutorial videos. I learned Angular from your videos. Hey, thank you so much for watching. And guess what? The tutorial guy is actually a real person. I'm here. Hey, friends. And guess what else? Working on a brand new tutorial. Brand new. But Jeremy, I'm making a commitment this time. It will not take me 8 months to do the tutorial. The amount that I had to learn of production to get the last one set up, I've already learned those hard lessons. Now, we're gonna cook, and I have a really exciting idea for how we could keep tutorials fresher for longer. And so keep your eyes peeled for an updated tutorial covering some of the latest features of Angular. I'm gonna say some because minors will come out with new features after I publish. That is so it comes to us as well, right? Where if I publish a video, and a minor will release some new features that won't be covered in that video. But we're thinking of ways to keep tutorials fresher longer and keep the wait time down for you friends as well. So we're thinking about it, and stay tuned.
This is why we keep Mark living in the liminal space, because he can actually do more tutorials faster if he stays there.
All right, we got a question here. So first of all, you've murdered this person.
Sam, I'm sorry.
There's a question: do we plan on suggesting or implementing a state management solution like NGRX? Not really. We don't know that it would be the best use of our time to do something here for a few different reasons. One of them is that the folks on the Angular team, we don't really work on applications that much. And so we're a little bit disconnected from the way different applications are going to want to do state management. Number two, different products and different applications have different needs. And so it's hard to build a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone, right? There's no kind of like silver bullet. This is the state management solution that's going to work for everyone all the time in every situation. And so the community in the Angular ecosystem has really built out a lot of options here, right? Like NGRX, and there's RX Angular, and there's like NGXS, and probably a few different more. And you can also use like other like non-Angular specific state managers as well. And so our outlook is that this is something that is already kind of being effectively addressed by the community, and not something that we really desperately, like, it's not a problem that is in desperate need of solving by us. That said, we will probably be looking at, further evolutions of signals and looking at not as like a state management solution, but like higher level data types and APIs around signals for having kind of more reactive objects and arrays. But that is all kind of just in the like idea bucket right now.
Love it. All right, Jeremy, while you're fielding more comments, I'm gonna post that PWA video. I forgot I meant to post it.
Oh yeah, go find your musical. Let's see, I'm scrolling through the comments looking for one to highlight.
And on the start, I start a bunch of them too.
Yeah, so Michael here says, I feel like the new resources API would be a great boon to signals in a service state management pattern. Yeah, the whole point of the new resource API that we're experimenting with, there is one draft PR open. So this isn't even something that's been like formally announced or anything. It is a draft PR, but it is a kind of a reactive API that lets your kind of data fetching, data access kind of participate in the broader reactivity model. And so we think that this is a good building block for other stuff. Lars here gives a call out. He wants to say thank you for flipping the default for standalone. Yes, this we're very happy to have finally done this. I still have some to-dos on my GitHub project to follow up in going and updating the documentation so that it reflects that everything is standalone by default now. Mm-hmm. I had to update over 100,000 files inside of Google to explicitly set standalone false in order to make this happen. And so I'm glad that's over now. But we had a good time and it's done.
We had a good time. Yeah, I remember having conversations, and I was proposing all kinds of solutions for this in the early days of this thing. And I'm glad we found one that actually worked. Not one of my solutions. My solutions were still, not ideal, but I'm glad that we found one that works, and then we're going to be able to like push it through. All right, let me pick a question, Jeremy, because I know some people have been waiting.
Yeah, I'm looking for your starred questions, but I don't know that I see your stars.
Oh, on the okay, you probably don't see my stars on the tab next to live. There should be a star.
Oh, there it is. Actually, they do show up.
Okay, great. Let's see. So many questions. Let me pick one out here. People have been waiting and waiting and waiting. Oh, this is a really good question. I like this because Gabriel de los Rios is asking us all about our like intentions and some of the like places we're going to go with Angular. So I worry about Angular becoming too functional and less OOP, object-oriented programming, OOP, friends, to be honest. But I trust you'll do what's best for all the community. What are your thoughts here, Jeremy?
I mean, the thing I would emphasize is that it is an evergreen goal of the team not to break the world and not to like cause a degree of churn that would turn people off of Angular who like it. And so this kind of ties into, there's another question here. It's just like functional components question mark. Mm-hmm. Even if in a scenario we were to explore alternate syntaxes for authoring components, whether it be functions, whether it be single file components, I don't know, maybe we'll let you write components in CSS, right? Like whatever it may be. If we do go down that route, classes aren't going away, right? Still have your classes and still be able to use them in the same way that you were using them before. It would just be that there is now another option.
I mean, I would hope they would be functional because you want your app to work.
Oh my gosh. Mark's living in the DBZ time chamber to be able to finish all of his tasks. Let me tell you something about DBZ and Mark. This is a true story. This is Jessica's least favorite story. So when I play video games, I usually put it on the hardest level first, like the hardest difficulty. I don't care what it is, even if it's my first playthrough, because of Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball Z, there's this one part where he's facing this really intense character who's much stronger than he is. So he ends up going into this training chamber, but there's 99 times Earth's gravity. Because of that, when he finally is able to like stand up and then to walk and to train and do things at his previous speed at 99 times Earth's gravity, he's just so much better. And he's just so OP, like overpowered. I applied that to my actual life. So it's funny that you said that, but I actually do take on really hard things first. But the difference is I give myself a lot of grace. So when I play a video game on so if I play God of War, I play it on Give Me God of War mode. I don't punish myself for not being good at it because I recognize that I'm training at 99 times Earth's gravity. But by the time I'm able to play it and get moving, I'm like a monster at the game, right? And I do that for a lot of things. I do that for guitar. I do that for not for work so much because I might get crushed in some tasks if I go to the hardest thing. But I do like to take on really hard tasks with that mentality.
I did respond to this comment. If you want to show that response,
it's up there. We see it.
Is this it? Is this the time?
Yeah, that's the time chamber. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's already been inside there for a year. Listen, that's how I live my life. Let's see. I saw one more comment. Here's some thanks from Evgeny. Zoneless Angular has unbelievable performance, scoring 99 to 100 in Lighthouse, even with some complex pages. Thank you for this. And guess what? We're not even done with it yet. We're still working on it. So your results may vary, your mileage may vary, but we're glad that you're having a good time.
Yeah. And, I'll point out, right, I have said this before, I'll say it again, right? There are no magic solutions. So, just going to zoneless and signals will not mean every Angular app is magically fast always.
Right.
It's always possible to write a slow app. Never underestimate a developer's ability to write a slow application. But the hope is that with zoneless and signals, you are on a well-lit path with guardrails. And you really got to take a big jump if you want to get over one of those guardrails.
Yeah, I like that. I think we're going to answer a few more questions, and then we'll call today's stream done. What's the deal with don't use effects? Becoming the allow signal right and optional and true for default go against this. There'll be an improvement in the docs to work correctly with effects. Okay, I think I understand. So the question is, why do we say don't use effects? Alex Rickabaugh, one of the folks who led the charge to get signals into Angular, has been publicly saying, try not to use effects. Use other better suited options in general. Yeah. So are we going to provide guidance? What's the deal, Jeremy?
So this comes about from situations where we see people using an effect where there's a better way to do something. And it's not saying that there are no situations
right
to use effect. It's saying that effect should be the last thing that you reach for when everything else is not a good fit. And so an example of when you don't want to use an effect, if you find yourself creating an effect so that you can update another signal when you have signal A and signal B, if you're creating an effect over signal A to write signal B, something's gone wrong, because you should be able to express whatever you're trying to do as a computed, right? If signal B depends on the value of signal A, you should be able to express that in a computed in some way. And if you have kind of in your application two pieces of sibling state that are both kind of affecting each other, then the way you should think about it is, how do I refactor this state so that there's a single source of truth higher up in my state hierarchy? So most of the time, if you find yourself trying to use effects to synchronize data between different signals, what you should be asking yourself is, how do I refactor this so I have a single source of truth? The places where you do want to use effects is where you want to take some value out of the reactivity system and plug it into an API that is not participating in that reactivity system. So a perfect example of this is saying, I have some state in this signal and I want to save the state into local storage, or I want to save it into session storage. That is a perfect place to use effect, because obviously, local storage APIs, those are just browser APIs. They don't know anything about signals. You can't hook that up to automatically plug in. And so you create an effect over your signal to say, write this into local storage whenever it changes. That's a good use of effect.
Good. All right, we're going to take one.
Practical effect versus a special effect. Maybe.
Young Lawrence said, "Eat that frog on steroids." Yeah, yeah, that's what he's talking about when I was talking about my 99 times Earth's gravity.
Yeah, that's a Dragon Ball reference.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. Let's pick out one more question. I think at the same time we are gonna have years. And we now. Oh yeah, I mean that's not okay. So, Oglethorpe, this is actually a good comment. It's a good observation, but we're trying to make sure that we learn from like other experiences. We're trying to be really thoughtful about this, right? So, if you think about how we have released signals, Effect is not promoted to production yet. Effect is still in developer preview, which means that we're going to continue to refine the API, potentially make changes before you can consider it to be quote unquote stable. The fact that we found these issues lets you know that we're thinking very seriously about the power of the API and how that API should be used in your applications versus just throwing something out there. And this isn't an implication that anybody else did that, but just saying what we're doing. Instead of just throwing it out there and saying, yeah, this is, computed and signal already. Therefore, Effect is ready. That's not how we're doing it. We're just taking our time and making sure we get it right. And then we're trying to provide guidance to make sure that you get it right. And then don't put yourself in a position where your applications suffer because of like improper use of public APIs.
Is that about all the time we have today?
That's just about all the time. Oh, we're over. Okay, let's see. Okay, one last thing, and then we'll go to the last one because Jeremy, you know about this. Will Angular coding style guide be updated for V19? Minko said that it would be on Twitter.
Okay, so look, this was my fault. I'll take responsibility. I didn't get the new style guide done in time for version 19. I was busy, but guess what? The new style guide is written, and the RFC for the new style guide is written, and all that's left is to publish it. I think we're going to go get some feedback from our Google developer experts first before we publish it, but
yeah,
it is written, and I'm hoping we might be able to make it official in maybe 19.1.
All right. Let's go. I appreciate it. So people stop by to show some support. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming by. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Thanks for showing. Thank you for noticing the crisp set. All right. Is that an angry face? I can't see.
It's not a set. It's liminal space.
Liminal space. Okay. So I hope that I didn't upset you, but I see the angry face. Okay. I think when people start sending me angry emojis, it's a good time for us to sign off. Hey, friends. Thank you for coming by today. Thanks for hanging out. We have had such a good time. Jessica, what are you watching, reading, or playing?
Ted Lasso and Starfield.
Ooh, love it. Both of those excellent choices. Jeremy, watching, reading, playing.
All right. Watching. What did I just watch? I watched Hannah Gadsby's Netflix specials. I was a little behind on them. I watched those. Very good stuff. Playing. I have been playing Echoes of Wisdom, of course. I've been playing Astrobot, of course. But the game I want to highlight is an indie game called Shogun Showdown.
Ooh.
If you like Into the Breach, you'll love Shogun Showdown. It is like a combination of a puzzle game and a turn-based tactics strategy game. It's super fun, super well designed, very tight game design. And reading, I'm reading a book called Mercy of Gods, which is the new book from James S.A. Corey, which is the pen name for the two authors who work together to write The Expanse, which I love.
Right.
Haven't gotten far enough yet to know if I like it, but it's intriguing.
All right, let's see. Mark, watching, reading, playing. Watching, I think I'm watching nothing. I don't watch anything. I don't have time to watch anything. No, I'm watching something. I'm probably rewatching. Oh, Bob's Burgers. I'm rewatching Bob's Burgers right now. It's a great show, and I keep pausing in the beginning just so I could see the puns of the shop names. Playing, I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. I play in small spurts. I usually play when my kid is asleep to do the hardest parts for him so he can not be frustrated. And then he wakes up to find great things. So for example, I just got the Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom. So that way now he'll continue the gameplay with the Master Sword. But we haven't done any of the 4 main regions yet. He's just going to be OP'd by the time he gets to the end. And then what am I reading? I'm actually reading a bunch of your books, Angular community. There are a couple of people who wrote some books about signals, who wrote books about change detection. And I really like to read your books. I actually try to read as many of them as I can. So I'm reading one about change detection from, I think his name is Breck. And then I am reading Jessica. And then another person from the Angular community wrote a book about signals from the Angular architects team, I think, or Angular experts. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to quote your book properly, but I'm reading your book as well. So I like to have a good time, and I like to read your books. So so having a good time doing that. All right, friends, listen. Everything is great. You can choose a framework off the shelf right now, just like Jessica chose that box of cereal. You can choose a framework off the shelf and have a good time. But here's what we think. No matter what you build, no matter where you go, I want you to do one thing for me. One important thing. You just get out there, all right? You go build great apps. We'll see you the next time.